How do you bring together over 3,000 changemakers? Why is it important to bring those people together? And how does he keep motivated and doesn't burn out? I discussed all of this with Carlos Terol, who set up Good Ripple, a community for changemakers that many people, me included, use extensively.
Yeah, thanks again for making it, Carlos. It's great to see you here. You set up Good Ripple in basically no time, and you inspire every day thousands of people. So can you explain what drives you really?
Thank you, Anne. Thank you for having me here. And yes, I think for me, what drives me is really my desire to try and make a difference in the world. And it's something that I've been quite passionate about for the last 10 years or so. It's how can I make the world a better place? And I'm quite obsessed in a positive way about this idea of how can I maximize my positive impact in the world. And I think I've been trying to figure out the answer to that for 8 years or 9 years. And about 2 years ago, I sat down to think, if I could only do one thing for the rest of my life, what would that be? And I came to the realization that Good Ripple, this community of change makers, would be that one thing. And that's because the impact is no longer about me, but it's about empowering many other people who want to start making an impact or who are already making an impact and help them amplify their positive impact. So for me, doing that, it just gives me a lot of purpose, a lot of meaning, a lot of fulfillment, and it just makes me super happy. So it's kind of easy to keep going with it.
Yeah, so this is why you started it. Was there a special moment which inspired you, or did it just come to your mind?
Yeah, so the idea itself actually came about nearly 10 years ago. And I was working, well, volunteering with a charity called Engineers Without Borders. And I was running local events in Reading, where I was living at the time in the UK. And these events, I was putting a lot of energy, effort, time into it. And some of them we would get up to 50 people come in. And some of those people, I found out they were living in my street or in my neighborhood, but it took me a lot of time to find them. And sometimes I didn't even find them in my street, but because somebody else knew them or through the university or through a colleague or something. And that made me think, how many other people do we have around us that want to change the world and we don't know? And that made me again think, we are limiting so much our potential as a species by not connecting with all these people who want to make the world a better place. And we're all in our bubbles trying to do something rather than coming all together. So I said back then, 10 years ago, I'm surely there's an app or something where you can find all these people, something like Tinder, but for change makers. And I started looking for this. I couldn't find it. My initial idea was to try and share this idea to somebody who could do it. So I actually emailed Bill Gates and other people like this. Obviously, I didn't get any response, but sharing this idea, saying, "Hey, you've got the resources. You should do this to help connect people and bring about more change." I tried to contact different people in the United Nations, thinking, the United Nations should be doing this, but I never get anywhere. So 10 years forward, I thought, well, if nobody has done it, let me try at least and see if we can get this done.
You went really low tech. You started with LinkedIn to connect people. And I really like that approach. I mean, you didn't build an app like Tinder for change makers. You just started connecting people. And I think that is really powerful. You set up some resources, you set up the network, and you posted regularly. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's because I had some previous experience of other small companies that I've had in, and I've made lots of mistakes already. And I thought, well, if I want to build this, I'm not going to build it to start with. I'm going to test first if it works. And I think, if you read a little bit about startups and these things, that 90% of startups fail because they don't validate the ideas. So I thought, okay, I want to validate very well my ideas and my assumptions before actually spending any serious money or time into building this thing. So I thought, okay, how can I make a low fidelity minimum viable product of an app that connects people. I thought, well, a community, right? So that's a quick way of bringing people together. And I thought, okay, so I can start my community. So I just looked for a platform that I could use that's already built. So we went with NAS.io. So you can
Mm.
just use, and that's what we use still today. So you can host events there, have your content, and bring up members together. And then I thought, okay, so how can I start bringing actually people? Because yeah, I can put up the community, but then nobody's going to find it. So I thought, okay, I love writing, and I had been on LinkedIn for some time, like just reading through other people's posts. And I quite like LinkedIn compared to other social networks because I
Mm.
feel it's a bit more focused and there's a little bit less noise. It tends to be a bit of a better quality, I feel, in terms of the people, what they share, etc. So I thought, okay, let me try this because I love writing and I like LinkedIn as a platform. So I'm going to start sharing some stuff
Mm.
here. I still don't know what I'm going to be sharing about, but I'll just start tomorrow. And I actually did that from one day to another. I started posting 7 times a week. And I've been doing that for the last 2 years, sometimes not 7, but between 4 and 5 at least. And so far, it seems that it works. So it helped validating the ideas of, are there change makers out there? Yes, there are lots of them.
Mm.
And do they want to connect? Yes, they're really desperate
Yeah.
to connect. And isn't there a better alternative out there? And the answer is no. Like they're struggling to find some platform or something to help them come together. Obviously, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Meetup, you've got others, but they're not quite perfect. So we want to make it really like easily and very meaningful for people to connect. So yeah, so far ideas and assumptions have been validated. So that's why we're trying to go to the next steps of building Good Ripple a bit more in depth.
Yes, yeah, and you're also using Slack to exchange the ideas and to connect people more in depth. And I really like that. I like that you went for such an easy approach and easy to get in, especially because everyone can join. And I really like that. So, how many members do you have at the moment?
Yeah, so we are about 3,400 members right now,
Oh.
and that's been in a little bit less than 2 years.
Hmm.
And I think, as you said, like, yeah, so we are very much about being super inclusive and about being open to everyone. We want everyone to become a change maker. So we don't want to put barriers and say, well, this is only for this particular type of people or that
Hmm.
particular type of people. We want it to be for everyone, super inclusive and super accessible. And that's why we've kept it free because we want everyone to come in.
Hmm.
Obviously, we will have to figure out a revenue model so that we can sustain ourselves and continue growing. But even when we do that, we will always have that free part because we want everyone to come in, everyone to be able to connect with each other and find resources, etc. And so that's going to be there because that's really the root of Good Ripple. It's bringing people together with no barriers. So yeah, that's so far it's been working, and we're quite happy with all the positive response that we've had from change makers around the world. It's quite inspiring to see so many people doing so many things and wanting to come together and create more impact.
Yes, and I must say I really enjoy especially the times where you have some content provided, some webinars, and then afterwards it's often a connecting session where you can meet other change makers around the world, and I really enjoyed this exchange. And I even met someone in person through one of your events, which I think is exceptional.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
really
you'll
cool.
need to tell me more about that another time, maybe.
Cool. I
That's
think you really reached your goals of connecting people. You you said that you have plans to change things in the future to maybe build up some more professional community. Or do you like to share something already?
Yeah, so we have some ideas, and
Mm.
again, we want to test them because we don't know whether they're going to work or not. But our idea to start having some revenue from the community so that we can continue improving it, growing it, etc., is to have a pro membership. So that will be a paid membership by some of the members that would love to get some extra value, extra benefits from the community. And we're planning to launch that in November this year. So it's quite an exciting year for us.
Mm.
And I think the thing that I'm most excited about, and is that it's not just me saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, but it's community members saying, hey, this is what we want you to do. And then we're building those things together. So we have around 60 pro pioneers. You're one of them, of course. As you
Yeah.
know, we've had some meetings and we have some communications where we actually get input from all these 60 pioneers. And we've had some surveys looking at, okay, what are the most important features or added value that you would like to see in this pro membership? So at the top of that list came things like having a really good member directory, which we don't have right now. We have something, but it's not super rich in terms of data. Also having a map where you can see change makers around you, having some sort of automated connections. So rather than you having to go spending time into filtering and sorting and finding people, just us telling you, hey, and you should connect with this person because you live in the same place, or you have these things in common, or you would just benefit from having that conversation between you. So then we make it really easy and effortless for people to connect with each other. And we're also looking at some mentor and coach matching, because people have said that they would like something like that to continue growing in the change making journey. So all of these things, so some of them at least will be available from November. Also networking events. As you mentioned, a lot of people loved our networking events, so we're bringing them back and making them even better. So that will be lots of things that will be going on from November to start testing, okay, are people willing to contribute financially if we provide all of this value for them, or not? Maybe we need to find something else. But so far, I think that's what we're gonna start testing and see how that goes. And from there, we'll get more feedback from people. And if we need to pivot or iterate, we will just continue doing that. I think the important thing is that it's built by the community for the community. And I think that's a key element in what we're doing. And hopefully that will help us, be more successful.
Yeah, I really love that idea. And also to test it out, what functions, what doesn't work as well. You can always change things, of course, and you did already in the past. So I really like that approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good ripple for me is a lot about good things, but would you say you are currently also struggling with something? There's some particular thing?
Yeah, I think my main challenge, I think a lot of people can relate to this, is time.
Yeah.
It's wanting to do more than the day allows. And I think especially for people in the impact space where we're trying to tackle big challenges like climate change, biodiversity crisis, human rights inequalities, etc. It's big challenges that are a lot of people suffering. There's a future at stake, and for many of these, we're running out of time, and we want to get things done quickly and more things and more impact. And sometimes it's difficult to find the limit to what you can do as an individual, and you just keep going, and you can end up burning out or something worse. So for me, that time bound is quite a challenge because I feel I want to do more, and I'm the kind of person who loves to do many different things at the same time, even though I know multitasking is no good, but I just get very attracted by these different things. Oh, I wanted to try this, and then something else comes up. It's, oh, that looks very interesting. Let me try that as well. So I kind of go through many different ones. And one of my sort of resolutions for this year is learning to say no to more things and trying to be more focused and fewer things, but having more impact with those fewer things. And I think I'm improving. I'm definitely far from perfect, but I'm definitely seeing an improvement. And I think also as I grow on LinkedIn and our community, I get to connect with many more people, but at the same time, it also gets a little bit overwhelming because the amount of DMs that I get, the amount of comments that I get, it's amazing. I love it, but it just takes so much time to go through all of it that I need to learn to put priorities, and sometimes, right now I'm behind DMs for like 6 months, and I don't feel great about it because I would love to, be there to respond to all these people who are amazing, but it's just very challenging to fit that with everything else. So I'm trying to catch up and be at a point where I can keep up with things. and that's kind of like the goal. But yeah, it takes some time and some discipline to get to that point. So I'm working on it.
Yes, yes, I can imagine that takes a lot of time. And you're not using AI to produce your answers. You're just the
No,
person who really, yeah, answers in a personal style. And that's probably a big difference to many others who just, well,
mm,
then generate some answers. Yeah.
yeah, and I get some people telling me, oh, you need to outsource your
Mm,
inbox and your DMs and stuff, and it's like, I think that kind of goes against the whole purpose of it, because my
mm,
purpose is to connect with people, get to know what people are doing, help them, etc. And if I get somebody else to look at that and pretend it's me, then it just doesn't
mm,
feel right. Obviously, yeah, you can get help and to get help more people, and we've got Paula in our team who helps
yeah.
us, etc. But yeah, I think some of it I just wouldn't feel comfortable either, outsourcing or using AI or something like that. It's just, yeah, it doesn't feel right to me. But I don't
No.
know. Maybe at some point there's no other option because I just cannot handle it all. But for now, I quite enjoy trying to do it myself.
Yes, and I think that, yeah, gets transported to the people as well, because you are really there as a real person, and yeah, you don't outsource without
Mm.
reason. And but it's great that Paula is there now. Paula is there now. I
Yeah,
really love that she is also caring about the community and is engaging with the community. And I think, yeah, that might be a way forward to involve more people within the community and, yeah, to manage it that way. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, Paula is amazing. We
Mm,
couldn't be doing half of what we're doing without her. She's
yeah.
helping so much. She's got so many good ideas. She's implemented already lots of things from her own ideas, and I can see how good Ripple is improving thanks to her. So yeah, I'm just so grateful that she's in the team. Yeah, we're really, really lucky.
Yes, I think so too. That's fantastic. And there's also some other people who really do a lot and post a lot and communicate a lot. And I really like that a lot. You said you need to care for not burning out. So how do you manage that? How do you recharge, for example, at the end of such a
Hmm.
day?
Yeah, I think for me, I feel quite lucky because I've got a system in place that I've learned where to put my limits, and I feel when I need to take some time away from these things to recover and recharge, I do it. So I'm very lucky that I've never burned out in my life, and I think a lot of it is thanks to meditation.
Mm,
So I learned meditation a long time ago, but I've been doing it quite consistently over the last 4 to 5 years. And I think for me, that's really the key because I wake
mm,
up in the morning, first thing I do is meditation. So it sets me up with the right mindset for the whole day. And I think many people get something wrong about meditation, and it's that they think it's about sitting and relaxing for 5 or 10 minutes. And I think that might be when you're starting, maybe you just want to relax for 5, 10 minutes, that's fine. But really, meditation is not about meditating, it's about becoming meditative.
mhm,
So more you meditate and you develop this awareness of yourself, the surroundings, and you put a little bit of distance between you and your mind, then is when you can become meditative for your entire day. So it's not about those 5, 10 minutes, it's about how you are the rest of the day that really matters. So for me, having that meditation in the morning, typically I do around 20 minutes, half an hour. That really helps me bring that distance. And for the rest of the day, I'm a lot more in tune. I'm a lot more focused. I'm a lot happier, and I don't jump to things so negatively. And it's just having that little bit of distance. So that really helps me. When I feel that I'm reaching the point, I'm able to bring up back a little bit of awareness thanks to that meditation and say, hey, take it easy. You're doing your best.
mm,
There's no more you can do. And as long as you can do your best, that's it. If it fails, it fails, but at least you've done your best. And yeah, that's as humans all we can do. So I think for me that's a really key strategy or tool that I implement. I try to do it every morning because it
mm,
really makes a big difference. And I would encourage anyone who's listening to this to try meditation if you haven't done it before, and think about not just those 5-10 minutes when you sit, but the whole benefit that can bring to your entire life, to your work, to your personal life, relationships, etc. It can be really transformational. I think I would be a very different person. I would be in a different position if I wasn't, because of everything that I've learned about meditation. So yeah, totally recommend it.
Wow, that sounds great. I think you convinced me on the spot. Maybe you should set up a meditation course or meditation class within Good Ripple Pro, something like that. Or
Yeah, we
maybe
could
get
try.
in some instructor. I think,
That's a good
yeah,
idea.
sounds like every change maker could make use of that to make the world a
100%.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds really good. One question I have, if you could change anything instantly, what would it be for you?
Oh, to change as in about myself or the world or
Whatever.
right. So I think what I would do is I would make every human being to be enlightened. Because I think if you get there, then everything else would get sorted. I
Mm,
think a lot of the issues that we're having right now, from again inequalities, climate change, biodiversity crisis, a lot of it comes from a foundation of unawareness. And I think if we can bring up the global awareness, global consciousness, then suddenly you are a happier person.
mm,
You are kinder. You know, if we are happy and we're kind, there's no question about destroying the planet or other species or slavery or exploitation. There's
mm,
no question about that. It doesn't even come to your mind. But I think right now, because of the system we're in, where we just value profits and money, and big corporations have a lot of power, then everything else becomes really difficult. But I think because there's all these people who maybe haven't got to that level of awareness, and myself included, I'm working on it as well. It's, I think, the key thing, if we can all work towards more awareness, I feel that everything else will come into place. Because otherwise, I think if I tell you, well, I wish climate change was fixed tomorrow, or
mm,
biodiversity crisis was fixed tomorrow, there'll be always something else. There'll be always some other issue, because we're always, trying to build something that just doesn't work. So I
mm.
think that underlying principle of bringing more awareness into your life, so ultimately you are more happy, joyful, and kind to others, then everything else will get sorted. And I'm a huge believer in that. So yeah, if I could change something, I would just make everyone enlightened and conscious and kind. And I think it would be an amazing world.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And we could live through many things. It
Yeah.
sounds great, yes. And that's probably the best finishing words for this interview anyway. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer my questions and to tell us about Good Ripple. It's really great. And please keep up the great work you're doing. It's so fantastic to see it and to connect to the people. And yeah, absolutely crazy good. Thanks.
Yeah. No, thank you, Anne, for having me here. It's honestly a pleasure.